Hey guys, back with another quick tutorial, and we're just going to go over parameterization in LLMs. So we should all know what a system prompt is. This is essentially how you're prompting the LLM. But if you go into OpenRouter, this has one of the most dynamic and flexible and customizable panels for any chat interface on the web, as well as also essentially hosting basically any LLM, open or closed source, available to you. So let's go in and take a look at these panels and figure out what they actually mean. So max tokens. Tokens is basically just like words. They're a little bit different than words, but you can think about them as the approximate number of words. Whenever I'm operating with a open source LLM, most of them have pretty big context, and I'll actually set this to 10,000. So max tokens, essentially how many words. Chat memory, this is the number of messages above that you might want to include. OpenRouter defaults this to 8. I personally haven't played with this parameter too much. 8 seems pretty sufficient for me. Temperature, this can be thought of as creativity. So if you bring it down, less creative, more predictable. If you bring it up, much more creative, much less predictable, much less formulaic. Top P. So this is, once again, kind of similar to temperature, but I personally wouldn't mess with top P. I found it to, especially in open source models, to kind of dramatically affect the performance of the LLM. Okay, top K. This is another one. See how it says here, a value of 1 means the model will always pick the most likely next token, leading to predictable results. So once again, if you bring this all the way up, you might get more creativity in open source models, but I, once again, personally would not mess with this. As it says at the top, it limits the choice of tokens at each step, choosing from a smaller set. So for smaller LLMs, this might need to be tweaked, but once again, would not typically do it. Now, min P and top A, I'm once again going to say, just ignore these. They have not been personally helpful, but these three are really underrated. Frequency penalty, presence penalty, and repetition penalty. So let's do the first one, frequency penalty. It tries to use less frequently the tokens that appear more in the input, proportional to how frequently that they occur. So negative tokens will encourage reuse. So this is really important and has actually really changed the game for me personally in terms of open source, excuse me, in terms of open source models. If I go in here and I bring this way up, and I put a format of a text in the system prompt, you might not actually get great results. But on the other hand, if you bring this way down and you want the outputs to reuse the format that you put or the example formats in your system prompt because you're doing multi-shot prompting, this could be a really important parameter where you want to use negative token values. Presence penalty. This is fairly similar, but it's in the actual output. So this is just, do we want to reuse tokens multiple times in the output? A lot of times keeping this at 0 is better, but it says negative tokens will encourage token reuse. So if I'm doing a task where I want it to output many examples of the same type of piece of content in one object, I might need to actually bring this down, right? And on the converse, if I want more flexibility and I find it repeating itself too much in the output, unrelated to the system prompt, then I need to, bring this presence penalty up. Last one real quick, I want to keep this a short video. Repetition penalty. So this is essentially very similar to presence penalty, as we can see right here. But the big difference is helps to reduce the repetition of tokens from the input, right? So this one is focused more on the output. This one is focused more on the input. But like it says, too high of a value can make the output less coherent. So this is another one that I wouldn't tinker with that much. So the last cool hack that I want to show you guys is you can actually go to Open Router and go to Browse and click on any model here. And if you click on it, it will take you into a model page. And if you go over to parameters, you can see what people are using for the parameters on each model. So this basically means that, you know, P50 is like what most people are using. P10 is, you know, the 10th percentile on the left-hand side of the distribution curve, what people are using. And then P90 is kind of the opposite on the right-hand side. So we can see here that if I wanted to use a different model or a new model that I hadn't used before, like this Mixtral 8x7b DPO model, I can come in here and see, okay, people find it a little bit better if you keep the temp a little bit below 1. And then otherwise, it seems like they don't really tinker with the settings at all. These are basically all base settings. If I come in here to Haiku, similar situation, but we see the 50th percentile distribution and the 90th are actually the same on these two, 0.7. So we can actually quickly understand how to utilize these models using other people's data that they're putting into Open Router using information that they are finding valuable. So I hope you found that valuable. That was just a quick tutorial on parameterization in LLMs. Thanks for stopping by. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much.